Now, I was here about 3 weeks ago on a Saturday, and I shared the time. There was another training, another opportunity for you guys to depart and go listen. And I knew it was going to happen because you didn't know who I was, but about 80% of the room stood up and left. Now, there's a reason I'm back here again. There's a reason I've been asked to be in front of you, to address virtually all of you tonight. And I believe that's because of the individuals that were here that day on Saturday that I presented. Because they learned and they understood the value we bring to parents, therefore your clients, but not only that, to your business as the advisor. How many of you were here for that presentation? Any of you in the room? Very good, thank you. Am I off base at all with that statement?
No, I'm glad you're back, and plus you have an overflow room behind you. There's like 15 people in there.
All right, very good, so they can see me if I look up
Yes.
here? All right, excellent, I get a wave at them. Okay, now before I get into bringing this to your attention, I want to ask you guys a serious question. Why should I and my company, College Money Academy, do business with you and your company? I'm very curious. What separates you guys?
Service.
Service?
Education first.
Education first, that's an excellent one. Anybody else?
We're here for everyone.
Yeah, we have no minimums. We really want to help every single person accomplish their financial goals.
All right, I like that one. I've heard before from Amber, some meetings we've had with her, to where she said, we want to do the right thing. We're not just in it for a sale. I know you guys applaud who got a check. We're in sales, we got to do that, but that's not ultimately what it's about for you guys, is just collecting a darn check. You want to do the right thing. Now, I love that these guys stood up front and said, be coachable, because that's what tonight's going to be. Now, let me share with you a little bit of my experience. How did I get here? Why am I standing in front of you? Now, I've been in the insurance profession virtually my entire career. I'm 47 years old, and my specialty is life insurance strategies. That's what I've done, and we're really darn good at it. I built 2 agencies that became top 10 producers across the country, nationally ranked. And my entire focus, I'm like the gymnast on the beam. I don't think of my floor routine. My specialty is insurance strategies. Now, 10 years ago, we started having conversations about what insurance can do from a college planning standpoint. Now, nothing within my academy is about product, and I'll get into why. But that's where this started, and I literally stumbled upon an idea. Just like when you're on the sidewalk and you all got to look around to justify yourself, there's something there. I stumbled across this idea that college is actually fully negotiable. Just like when you go garage sale shopping, you know that that sticker price is not the end-all price. And this was a complete revelation from a financial planning perspective for us and our clients, because it's such an enormous burden. So we started to enter into these conversations. We started to discover that this was actually true and real. And we started to get results, and these results were that the clients actually got an additional discount, that we reduced the cost. We got, like the college price was on sale, and we were the ones who knew how to get it on sale. And this just continued to compound upon itself until all of a sudden there was a client sitting from us, across from me. They were a husband and wife. They turned out to be the principal and the head of post-grad at one of the state's largest charter schools. Not largest, best. And the lady sat back, she's the head of postgrad, and she goes, Kelly, all we have is the financial guys come to try to help our clients save money, right? Accumulate. And we have a FAFSA night. But the biggest problem we face is we do our best to get these kids prepped and ready, and they get admitted, but nobody's helping the parents actually make it possible. It's a major problem. So then what does the parent have to do? The parent has to then choose a substandard school for the type of school their kid qualified for because of the cost. And she said, would you be willing to speak to all of our parents? Now, what would you do as the advisor if you know this school is going to market and you're going to walk into a room full of parents? Yes, of course, right? Now, I'm in the financial world. I'm seeing a hook. I'm seeing I got this college conversation dialed in. I'm going to hook them over into additional financial planning capabilities. This is brilliant. We walked in with 50 reservation sheets and some, material for 50 people. Unbeknownst to us, they put us in the auditorium on the stage with the lights and an enormous screen behind me. I had 175 people looking at me. And I'm like, oh boy, I didn't do my due diligence. I've never done this before, right? We had an 80% appointment request. Major issue. Thank God they let us come back because we messed up that night. But they did. They allowed us to come back. What this then did, because they were the top school in the state, is other schools started to catch wind of this. It took a little time, but it was like shooting fish in a barrel because they literally had one lady say, she goes, okay, wait, stop. I just introduced myself. She goes, stop. You mean to tell me you're presenting there? And I go, yep. And she goes, when can you come present at us? That was the entire sales pitch. I'm like, February 12th, 40 people in the room. This then led to the League of Charter Schools. They asked us to come in. What are you guys doing? We presented to their entire staff. They said, would you guys mind doing a presentation for all the schools, all the principals in the state? No, of course. That then led to other schools reaching out to us. And all of a sudden, we're all over the state. I've had meetings with state Senate candidates, district presidents. I've done joint work with a large Division I private university. Now, for those families who have used my strategies, and there's been over 1,000, I haven't worked with 1,000 personally, but for those that have used my strategies, the average when they tell me how much they saved, or I know personally because I have worked with them, the average has been just over $12,000 per year. Now that is additional money that they would not have received otherwise. $48,000 off of the sticker price of additional money per kid, per family. It's a large amount of money. 12 grand a year, $1,000 a month, right? It's a lot of funds. I founded College Money Academy because you would think I was sitting on an absolute gold mine, right? I mean, I presented in front of hundreds. You don't know who's going to show up though, because the school advertises it for us. I was in this really weird, bizarre charter school outside of Golden, and one guy walked in to the library. Fine, he felt bad. The board or the school person felt bad. I said, don't worry about it, let's do it. I want to act like the room's full. And I've been in a school to where in a full-size gym, all the bleachers are pulled out, packed with parents, 2 screens. I got a microphone, I'm walking up and down the court. So I never know what was going to happen, but we always showed up. Now for you men in the room, and ladies, maybe you're big fans too, but it's mostly men. I don't know what you were doing on Game 7 of Chicago Cubs World Series game, but I had a lady who was an incredibly successful realtor, and I got her kid to CU for about 13 grand, $38,000 university, and she's like, Kelly, I can pack a room. This is such a huge concern. She's involved with their finances, being in the real estate business. This is a huge concern. I can pack a room. We tried. She finally said, Kelly, I'm really sorry, but it works. Game 7 of Chicago Cubs. I was there. There was not one other man in that room. I was presenting to like 30 women. No kidding, right hand up, that's true. Not one guy was like, you kidding me? I'm not gonna go hear this dude speak. Baby, you're good. I'm sitting there going like this because she had it on in the living room and I'm talking about this. I've been doing this now, that was 8 years ago. So 5 years go by. I have a gold mine from a financial planning capability here. I literally have the charter school system in my back pocket. Take a guess how many clients I acquired in 5 years. I'm not a bad speaker and I'm really good across the table. I'm not going to make you guess. I got 5. 5 that made the transition from college planning to additional retirement. Now, you're shocked. How in the world? I had to be bad. But here's what amazed me. Parents separate these two. They separate retirement planning and they separate college planning, and it absolutely must come together. But here's what happens. Your client hears me speak. They're very intrigued and they feel very empowered to make this happen because they could probably send their kid and not have to save any more money. Because see, that's the focus. We don't want them depleting their assets. We don't want them having to re-budget to direct towards loans. And we don't want them having to change their cash flow structure that was going to accumulate, but is now going to just the pit of this expense. You see, this is why this affects you. So they have a very difficult time separating this. They come to me, I present, they love it, they sit in front of me, I help this become a reality. This happens. And then we try to do this hook. Oh, but we're over here. And I'm not kidding. It is exactly like your dentist telling you, hey man, I can do your knee surgery. It just didn't work. It did not work. It was shocking. So I sit down with Scott, as he mentioned. I've been doing this for 5 years now at this point. I'm like, Scott, man, gosh, I've done all this for free. I've helped a lot of people. I've had women sit across my desk and cry because little Johnny made it and they didn't have. I've had dads go, oh my gosh, I can buy season tickets. Yeah, man, that's what it's about. Go tailgate now. So Scott brought this up. He goes, Kelly, why don't you brain dump, man? Why don't we put this into an online academy for people? Why don't we do something about it and reach out to everybody and it be a subscription-based model for them? And then you could do an entry point to where most people can make happen. And I loved it. So that's what I did. It took us a year. For a year, I took everything that I do in meetings. I took all that presentations. I brain dumped it into categories, right? From like high school prep to researching schools to how to negotiate. And I put them into consumable short videos. There's 44 of them. We hired this brilliant dude back here, Mark. And we got them all done. It took about a year. But then, as you can imagine, we have this beautiful billboard in a desert, right? How are we going to get people to this? That's then became our challenge that next year. But now we've got this dialed in. I know how to reach out and the tactics and the strategies that we're doing to get this to people. And some of it involves other planners, for sure. So here we are. So let me ask you, show of hands, how many of you have clients that have middle school or high school age kids? All right, I'm sure you're raising your hands too. All right, a large amount of the room. So let's pretend this happens. I'm gonna call on you because you're up front. I talked with you earlier. Let's pretend you come into the office tomorrow and you have a voicemail that goes like this. It says, hey man, this is Kelly. Dude, Madison is a junior. We're kind of freaking out. We gotta sit down and have a college meeting with you, bud. So can you call us back, please, and get this on your calendar? Beep. What's running through your mind?
Great time to have a sit down with a client.
Okay, what else? Like from a planner, what's running through your...
Hancock College plan analysis to pick the school, figure out what total cost analysis might be, 4 years of education, maybe +1 with the statistics, looking at room, board, travel, food, etc.
Perfect. Now notice where you went.
Yep.
You went to this top price, a school analysis based upon the sticker price. And then you work it backwards. $38,000 for CU. Hey Kelly, that's 152 grand for 4 years, pal. If you would have come like I told you 9 years ago, that'd be 17 grand a year. You'd have needed to be doing 12 to 1,400 bucks a month back then, bud. We're a little bit behind. So what do? How do you help these people? Under these three components, we're throwing everything we can to not deplete their asset, not completely play with their budget and utilize now a debt structure for the next 8 to 10 years, and not redirect their cash flow to just go into this empty pit. Let me show you how screwed I am. You might be able to guess where I'm going with this. I have 6 kids. 4 are my own and 2 stepsons. Now this was a few years ago, 21, 19, 18, 16, 14, 14. Because you guys can feel the pain. So now imagine if CU's the school. 152 grand is what they're saying is my cost, Kelly. You make too much money to go for aid, bud. What are you gonna do? Times 6 is 912,000 bucks if I can flatten it for the next 8 years. And I'm one client of yours. I have a $1 million expenditure in one form or the other, whether it be through debt for my family, whether it be through me redirecting all of my cash flow that I was using and to accumulate with you. Look at the lost opportunity cost that represents. Or an asset depletion where I'm gonna be looking at you going, dude, what do I touch, man? It's a major problem. Fair? Now look, I'm not here to sell you anything. I am here as that coachable component. I am here to provide some education on this, and what you're going to learn, believe it or not, just in the next 20 minutes, is the conversations that you can have. And I'm also here to see if we're a fit. So let me get into that right now. After doing this for the last 8 years when I started speaking until CMA, I still speak at one school, and I still consult with 2 of the biggest private schools here in town. Their head of post-grad always has me come in, and I consult with them. But this is where you guys need to start taking notes. This is the dialogue. This is the information that you can share. There's only 2 slides with this. If you want to take a picture when it's done, that's fine. I don't care. But this is the point where I really want you guys, that's the history. That's why I am who I am and why I'm here. So bullet number 1, when the government changed the rules officially in '92 is when they established themselves as the primary lender. And they also created the what? What's the application called?
FAFSA.
The FAFSA. The free application for federal student aid. Now you got to think the FAFSA as to be a funnel. It's just a funnel. You funnel in your financial information. It's like the everlasting gobstopper on Willy Wonka when it starts pumping, 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 and out comes the everlasting gobstopper. Out of the bottom of this thing comes the number. Does anybody know, you said it earlier, you can't say it. For those who attended before, you can't either. What's that number called? Okay, now, I gotta tell you, that concerns me, right? Let's think about that for a second. You're the one getting the phone call. And most of you don't even know what is generated, which is the expected family contribution. You've all heard it, the EFC. Parents don't even know to look for it. It's very minuscule. It's not like bullet point and highlight, but it's a number that's generated. Take a guess, thank you, government, if that number is low and easy to attain or impossible and hard. I have never once had a family sit in front of me and go, ha, that's it? Man, this is going to be a breeze, right? This is easy. It is always high. And it doesn't matter if you're super wealthy, and it doesn't matter if you're towards the bottom. And if you are an advisor who tells your clients not to go through the process of financial aid, stop. Almost everybody else is doing that. This company, if they do it, needs to stop. It is a myth. And if your client sits in front of me, I will show them that you don't know what you're talking about. You don't want to be in that position. Everybody needs to do this. I have literally never one time been presented with a reason, legitimate reason, why somebody making a ton of money shouldn't go through the process. But that number is always high. The highest I've seen is $470,000. Meaning the government says this family can afford $500,000 a year to send little Johnny to school. And they're like, what? Are you nuts? Now, let's think about this for a second. The government creates the application, and they create the formula that generates the number that the schools see. Now, you do want to jot this down. As a ballpark figure, you take their AGI, their adjusted gross income, you add back in any pre-tax contributions. So if they're doing $10,000 in a 401k, you're going to add that money back into that AGI figure, and you're going to calculate 25% of that. So 25% will determine a ballpark figure of their EFC solely based upon their income. Now, if you have a client whose EFC is high, he doesn't need to be concerning himself with any asset transitioning. He doesn't need to fall for that junk. There are people out there that are like, oh my God, we got to get all your assets over here, it's off. But his income alone is going to knock him out of it. It's an irrelevant conversation. So a couple with a $100,000 AGI has an EFC of $25,000 based upon their income, approximately. This can be a couple that's 2 managers at Costco. There's no way in heck they can do $25,000 a year to send little Johnny to school, one kid. So look who comes in to rescue. Because the government took that financial information, created the number, here it is. They apply to CSU, which is $27,000. CSU sees they can afford $25,000, and maybe they offer $1,000. And who comes in to go, don't worry, we got it covered? The government does with student and parent loans. They say, not a problem, we'll fix it for you. Here's a $25,000 Parent Plus loan. Here's $5,500 for the students. We got it totally covered. So parents either take the debt, or they inappropriately expend their assets, or they unfortunately choose a lower grade school than their kiddo qualified to attend. The evidence of this, $1.4 trillion in the last 13 years alone in parent and student loan debt. 1.4 trillion. Here's the problem. This will never go away. All of these politicians who say, oh, this is, we're going to fix the problem, they'll never get off of it, because what it would literally take, and it would be complete political suicide, is for the politician to say, we've caused a major problem. We've flooded it with money, which has spiked the cost, and we've put you to the tune of, in debt of over $1.5 trillion total. So we're done. We aren't doing this anymore. Now, could you imagine the political consequences of that for that politician? For one, school now would only be for the rich, right? We're pushing down the minor people. Middle class, lower class is over. They can't get a college education anymore. So they can't do this. But what would happen is CSU would go, wait, you can't get the $25,000 Parent Plus loan? We can't do that with our endowment. We can't offer this kind of money for everybody that's coming through the door. Their enrollment price would fall through the floor in one cycle. See, they have what's called a yield rate. We have closing ratios. They have yield rates. Yield rate is how many do they admit compared to how many enroll. And the averages are between 19 and 30%. So if CSU accepts 10,000, they know they're going to get about 2,500 kids. They know that about 70 to 80% of the kids they admit aren't coming. So what do? They typically go, here you go. And they wait to see what you're going to do about it. Now what this means is that the cost of attendance is no different than a garage sale sticker price. If you and I went to Starbucks and I ordered us a couple coffees, and the individual behind the counter said, $8, I wouldn't lean over and go, come on, give it to me for $3, would you? We know in that context it doesn't work. I pay the $8, thank them. And we could walk right across the street to a garage sale, see an item that says $8 on the little masking tape, and we could go, come on man, would you give it to me for $3? And the mistake advisors make and parents make is they think college is Starbucks, and they're wrong. Now parents actually have the ability to strategically negotiate the price with any school, and this can be done with average students just like my daughter. My daughter at CSU, slightly above academic average. She never varsitied, but I had her packaged like a boss. And I leveraged divorce. There's all kinds of strategies I teach. Divorce creates a lot of strategic opportunities. Believe it or not. $3,800 for CSU to send my kid to school. $3,800. Yeah, right? Yeah, trust me, I was nervous because I've done this for families over and over. Now it's my turn. And I'm like, oh my God, I'll be a total hypocrite if it doesn't work for me. Now excuse the marketing component to this. This is on an online webinar that I do, or I've done. But there are 3 secrets, and this is the dialogue that you guys need to understand. Secret number 1, the cost of attendance is not what it's going to cost you. Ignore it, throw it out. If little Johnny or little Sarah earns the opportunity to get to that $45,000 university, let's see what they do. We all know this swipe left and swipe right dialogue, right? Not good, interested. Schools can't date your kid. They can't send them roses. They can't send flowers. They can't take them to dinner. They can't upgrade them to a suite. But what they can do is offer money. And they hold it very close to their chest because they wait to see what the heck you're going to do with the government's money or your own assets. So if they want you, so never pay attention. Now it's a barometer, but throw it out. If the kid is looking like, hey, I'm an engineering kid and this is a great engineering school, but it's 60 grand. I have never had a kid go to DU for less than, or for more than CU's sticker price.
Don't tell me that.
Now look, I was just talking to a dad on Sunday, $17,500 every semester, so $35,000 he writes a check to CU. Now he and his advisors, they did the right work, right? He made a lot of money, saved a lot of money, and he can expend it. Now if that's what's running through your mind is, hey Kelly, I've been on my guys for 10 years, dude, we're good. My clients can do that. Don't fool yourself. And by that I mean, you mean to tell me that your strategy was just to wipe out those assets? I don't know anybody that has gotten to that point that isn't willing to only spend 60 instead of 140,000. If you can find a way to save money for them, they are happy to do so. So I told the guy, I don't know if you remember in the movie Liar Liar when he's getting busted by his assistant, and he's like, yeah, I could have got him 30, right? And she's all mad. I'm telling this guy, I'm like, with the leverageability of your kid, probably could have got CU for 15 to 18 grand total per year. And he's like, ugh. Guess who he was mad at? His advisor. This leads to secret number 2. Virtually every school will give you a lowball financial aid offer first to see if you take it. Now, let's dig into this for a quick second. What we teach in the academy, after we've taught how to package the kids so that they're stellar, we teach how you do the research, and it's all public information. You can find the average incoming freshman score for any school. Now, what does that do for you? That allows you to know that if your kid got a 24 and this school's a 22 average ACT, see the mistakes the counselors make is they go, oh, kid, you'll get in. I look at that and I go, oh no, you're above average. That's a leverageable, this is a commodity now that I get to leverage, I get to play with this. You're an above average student for this school. It's not just you're getting in, that ain't the goal. Then we can find out and discover the average offer given in both merit and need-based aid for every school. So look what this tells us. You know where I'm going?
What's the multiplier?
So now we've got a kid who's a 24 on his ACT, the average incoming freshman is a 22, and the average offer is $8,500 average, and they give them 2 to see what they do. They lowballed us. And we know it. I had a parent go, it hit him. And he went, this is like having the cost sheet at the car dealership before you walk in. I go, that's exactly right. So this leads us to secret number 3, which is you can appeal the award and ultimately receive more money. Now again, this comes down to school selection. This doesn't work every single time with every school, with every student. But if they follow the strategies, if they learn how to research the schools, if they target 6 to 10, no more than 10, no less than 6, there's reasons. If they are very well targeted schools based upon this kid and their course of study and who they are, one of them will date them. Now, it came down to 3 schools for my daughter, Michigan State, KU, and CSU. Michigan State, we appealed, they didn't even respond. They swiped left on us, they didn't even respond. KU, my alma mater, I'm an alumnus from the University of Kansas. They offered nothing. We appealed, and they said, all right, here's a $5,000 legacy grant. Well, why didn't they honor me the first time? proving my point. Let's see what he does.
I'm a KU alum too.
Are you? His kid's got to go to KU. Let's see what he does. That one grant was a $20,000 offer by them. That could have been the one thing that made it possible. That could have been the one thing that said, oh, cool, we got enough. We don't have to come to the table with another $1. But CSU really wanted my kid. $14,700 is what they came back with. Guess where she went? All right. So college is absolutely a business. This is the dialogue you need to be sharing. It is a business. It is absolutely a business. Let's give you some results. Just a few. This is Randall. Randall is the dad of triplets. He's been freaking out since the ultrasound. Now, he knew the offer was low because of the research he did. He appealed. One school got one of his kids got a full ride to a private university. That helped, certainly. The other two applied to the same state school, and they got nothing. He's freaking out a little bit, but he did the research, and he's like, Kelly's this going to work? I go, I don't know, I can't guarantee you, but you've done it right. Let's see. They appealed. I get a call, I'm cooking dinner, I get a call, and he calls me O'Connor. He's like, O'Connor, I got 15 grand each kid.
Dude.
$30,000 that this family doesn't have to deplete, go into debt for, or redirect their cash flow. And he has enough to send all 3 kids to college. They're done. For those of you who are married, you go to your room at night and you lay there and you go, oh, we're done. We have enough. And the advisor gets to maintain the $120,000 in their assets for them, or however that's going to pan out, but that's a significant difference. Now here's another student, this guy Jacob. Look at this initial offer. It's a grant, $10,060. How many of you would be pumped if your kid initially out of the gate, $10,000 per year? And most parents go, oh my God, this is great. We got to make this one work. They really want you. But what they knew was it was low based upon his course of study and everything else and who he was. They appealed, and look what it turned into. $21,970. That's an $11,910 per year, or just over $47,000, because they knew this information. Here's another one. This is a screenshot from Instagram. This is a local Colorado school, and the lady emailed me and said, so my out-of-pocket expense for the entire year is only $9,400? Yep. Congratulations. Now again, obviously, we can't provide guarantees, but if you follow the process and treat this like a business and give yourself multiple opportunities that tie into that kid, one of them will want to, because they have a yield rate. They need butts and seats. They're a business. They sell a product, their education, and students are their customers. And if their yield rate starts to drop, they're in trouble. And they'll grab you. They have information like insurance companies do. They know actuarial data on these kids. They know how much money comes back. It's an investment. I had someone challenge me one time and say, seriously, dude, they ain't giving this much money. And I go, all right, Google this. Google the University of Wyoming's financial reports and do a search. Do a Control F in that PDF and do a search for the percentage of annual revenue that comes from tuition and fees. You'll be shocked. It's 9 to 10%. 9 to 10% of their annual revenue is the tuition and fees. This is a small number compared. They have a $454 million endowment. This is an investment to them into quality kids that they know are going to come in, be grateful, and probably give back. They know those statistics. Now, I don't know if we're a fit for you guys. I really don't. I've turned down a small company here in town. They're a boutique firm. They have excellent clients. Didn't work out. I didn't like saddling up next to them. And there's a much larger firm, a national firm, competes with you. There is no way. Some of you who sat here know who I'm talking about. There is no way I'm saddling up my company next to them. They're the most unprofessional group I've ever presented in front of. You might be able to guess. So I don't know. I honestly don't. If we're a fit individually, if we are with your office, if we are with the company. But then again, if our forces actually could join, I know we could do a lot of good. A lot of good based upon doing the right thing. A lot of good based on having their interest at heart, not our own. And that's something that we're hoping to have the opportunity to discuss. Now, I got just a couple minutes. I want to share with you a really quick story. And this one always gets me. March 5th of last year, I'm having dinner with my wife. She goes to the restroom, I check my phone, and I have an email from a lady. She said, Kelly, I'm emailing you to appeal the cost of your academy. At that time, it was a $1,200 academy to get access to me. It's not that anymore. But I loved that this mom said, I'm messaging you to appeal the cost. As opposed to, oh, I've got a story and help us. You know, we all have a story. I don't know how I would have been impacted by that. But she goes to tell me about their son, who's on track to be the valedictorian, as of now he is, 4.0. varsity in 2 sports all 4 years, multiple medical expenses they've shared, 5 total kids, plus a kid they adopted from China, and a kid they adopted who became an orphan in their community and had only the clothes on his back. And their advisor told them, you make too much money, don't go through the process. Turns out the medical expenses were for the son. This boy has gone through more than a kid needs to go through, and he still killed it. He slayed it. And she's like, Kelly, he can't go to the schools that he's earned the right to go to. They're $39,000 to $44,000 schools. I need your information, can you help me? Before my wife came back from the bathroom, I'd emailed her a code. I said, I'm yours. You got my attention. I will personally coach you as long as it takes, and I will give you full access 100% for free to my academy. Get in, use this code, watch everything. She didn't abuse my time. She could have, but she didn't. It was really cool. Turns out she watched it. She had her husband watch. She had her son watch. I asked the husband when I finally talked to him, I go, what'd you think? He goes, I loved that it was all these short individual little videos. I could watch one for 4 minutes, learn something, move on. I didn't have this 50-minute thing I had to watch. So of course they learned to apply to those 3 schools because their kid's exceptional. Turns out they have 17 grand per year, so they have a total of, $68,000 for school. $44,000 school is not even close to being an option. They can't get them there and then pull them out. So they're looking at the state of California at $17,000 to $20,000 schools. And she told me the kids started to lose hope. I went through all that I went through. I battled. I did the right thing. Now again, it gives me chill bumps. I literally have them if I could show you. I'm very moved by their story because I know it. This husband and wife sitting in their room at night. And how does it make them feel? It made them feel like they failed their kid. He did the work. And they can't do it. And this is what, excuse the expression, pisses me off. Because they had enough money to make it happen. And they didn't know it, and neither did their advisors. So right now, his third base school, okay, his third choice, we got it at 16. It's a $39,000 university. They are jumping for joy. I checked right before, because it's any day. The $44,000 school, I firmly believe we'll get for 14, 15, or 16 grand. We're waiting, it'll happen. I hope I can give you an update. But I think we're going to get this $44,000 school under their 17 capability. I can't tell you how great that feels to do the right thing in that way. And it frustrates me, the information that's out there for them, thinking that they couldn't do it, and in fact, they absolutely could, because it's just a business. It's not a Starbucks cost. So now I want to ask a serious question. How many of you, from what I understand, I'm standing in front of one of the best offices in the entire country for this company. I don't know if you're number 1, but I've heard you pretty close if you're not. That means this office right now is represented by the very best in this company. How many of you knew you could do this prior to our education? 1. Fantastic. Now, remind me again why I should work with you guys. In all seriousness, you've now received the majority of the training. The very fact that you're aware this is possible puts you ahead, look at you, puts you ahead of everybody else in your company. So what we're hoping for is the opportunity. I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it can, because I believe we can do a lot of great things. Now, I don't have time. I had a little slide of what the Academy looks like. It's just hosted on Teachable. They log in. They can watch every video and get it all organized in their own little whatever. But that's what we go through. How to prep your kid, how to research the schools, how to negotiate with the schools, special topics like divorce, a detailed case analysis for them on how I did it, everything involved. And they go through, there's 44 videos total that teaches this entire thing. Now, we've got a few minutes left. Any questions?
On average, how much do you save your clients, and how much does it cost them for these savings? In other words, if you take your average savings, and how much do they pay for your services?
So right now what we're working on is I believe we're going to have an entry point where every single family, regardless of their position, can get in. About $29 a month to subscribe to it and cancel any time. Now we haven't confirmed that, but that's probably what we're going to do. I want everybody to have the chance. They can consume all the information and cancel. That's fine. I don't care. I want to get it to them. Now that helps the individual who's super low, who it's going to change the kid's life, like this lady I just told you about. That's for the middle of the road who doesn't necessarily want to redirect their whole budget and go into debt. And that's certainly even for the wealthy individual that just doesn't want to deplete everything they got, or a large amount of it. So last year, I coached personally about a dozen families for free, just like this lady now, and the average was $18,400 that I reduced the cost. Now the long-term average, for everybody that I've been aware of, that have used it, that have told me, not everybody's told me, is just over 12 grand. So it's valuable. That's why I used to sell it for $1,200 and I provided a guarantee. I knew that if I didn't tenfold it, I'd return your money.
So quick, simple follow-up to that. What maybe percentage off the sticker price on average could you say? Is it like 50% off the sticker price or ballpark?
Yeah, 60 to 75. Yep.
So is this subscription service already available? Are we?
Oh, sorry. He asked ballpark savings. So as a ballpark, like what's the total percent savings? I'd say between 60 to 75%.
How can we get people involved immediately?
How do you get people involved immediately? We're working on that right now. We're extremely close.
Cool.
But we're working on that. It's gonna happen extremely quick. Yep.
Was there any risk to the appeal?
Great question. And in some cases, as I teach in the academy, if they come out with a fabulous offer, you know it. And I suggest you don't appeal those. But it's an incredible letter. I provide the appeal letters. It's a very, very polite letter. You can try. I've never had a school go, "What? You're out." That's never happened.
So literally no risk.
Yeah, I would say there isn't any risk. Yeah.
Can you negotiate after your child's already enrolled, like in their second year?
Yeah, since you do the FAFSA every year, but sometimes you got to prove that something's changed, right? So it doesn't put you in the best position for it. They might just go, "No, deal with it. You've been doing it the last 2 years. Do it again."
And they said, "Oh, you got married. Good.
Yep.
Now you get to pay more."
Yep, that's exactly right.
All right.
So what would be a target age group then?
Oh, the academy really isn't for really young families, right? That's where you guys come in. Of course, you come in at all stages, but to really help them continue to accumulate and save as much as they can. It's really for your middle school to high school age kids. And it doesn't work for post-grad. I have no experience in post-grad, none. So I can't claim any expertise there. I can't help kids in post-grad.
Can you explain the FAFSA form, how that going through the process helps in the whole process?
I don't understand your question.
Because you said, have them do the FAFSA, right? So what does it do for them to go through the process? How does that?
Oh, it just gets them in the system to allow them to negotiate.
Okay.
Yep. So why do the FAFSA for everybody? So that you have the ability to go, Otherwise they're going to go, "Hey man, you need to do the FAFSA first." Typically. Not all the time, but typically that's the case. Just do it. I hope you see why we've been asked to come back.
Yeah.
And we're excited for an opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.